Check, mic, mic. Yeah, mic check, mic check. Yeah, I can hear it on your end. Like when you start talking. Okay, you hear it? Okay, my friend. I don't know why it's not showing over here. Okay. All right. All right, we good. All right. Shalom. Shalom, Israel. Yahweh, Kimi, Yahweh, Barakatah, all the brothers. Yahweh, Shema, Khan, Bakim, Yahweh, shout out all the sisters. It's Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, start out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. Go ahead and give it up. All right, again, it's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. So we're getting to the you know what I'm saying? We as we already know, we've been teaching Black Hispanics and Native Americans and their culture and identity according to the Bible since 1969. I'm saying every Friday we teach the Lashawan Qadash class where we break down our culture from a linguistics perspective, right? You know what I'm saying? Second, bear with me. Right. The whole purpose of this class is so that we can eventually be able to talk to each other in the Lashawan Qadash, right? Because whether you are black or so-called black man, Hispanic, uh, uh, Mexico or Guatemala or Argentina, Brazil, or whatever the case is, uh, you know what I'm saying, Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, or whatever the case is, we all speak an oppressive language because we was in captivity under all these other nations, just like Psalms 83 said. They came together with crafty counsel to make sure we didn't know our culture and our identity. All right. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're a black man speaking English, you speak you know what I'm saying, you speak the European language. You was you Salaki, you speak Portuguese, you speak the Portuguese language, you speak an oppressive language, you speak you know what I'm saying, if you're Haitian, you have the you know what I'm saying, the Frenchman uh tongue, right? So the whole point is for us to put down all of these oppressive languages and learn our culture and our language so that we can, you know what I'm saying, so that we can get this oppressive language out of our mouths and put our culture back on in its entirety, right? So we follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, you know what I'm saying? We separate from our oppressors and all of that. Uh, a large part of that is going to be the language that we speak also, right? So we're going to get right into it. We usually start off with the Lashawan Kodash alphabet. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to do that. We got A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ka, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Kaza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Ta. Right? Right. So that's a Lashawan Kodash alphabet. You got it in your notes, you know what I'm saying? Just again, you know what I'm saying? Just it should be regular practice, right? Just regular routine practice. If you're not familiar with the Lashawan Kodash alphabet, you just go over it in your notes. If you have the sheet, just read along with the sheet or whatever you got to do so that you can get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? But that's gonna be a big part, just understanding the Lashawan Kodash alphabet from A to Tha, so that we can, you know what I'm saying, compound on our understanding and knowledge of this language. That's the whole point, right? Tonight, you know what I'm saying, you might notice that the topic for tonight, we just gonna learn how to apply this language in practical usage by learning how we can, you know what I'm saying, talk to one another, right? So the past couple of weeks, we've been kind of going over a couple things. Last week we went over how to salute one another, how to state your registry. You know what I'm saying, as a brother or priest, you checking in, or whatever the case is, you checking in the class as a sister. We talking about how to check in, right? We're gonna go over and review a couple things that we just a couple things that we should, you know what I'm saying, we should be pretty familiar with. Uh uh thing that we should be familiar with, right? Things that are in the salute, right? But just little simple things that you're gonna be using or you're gonna hear often, right, amongst the brothers or the sisters, right? So we're gonna do a brief little review, right? If you got any Lashawan Qadash related questions, you know what I'm saying, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat if you're watching online. Now tonight's the night for that, right? Make sure you got your learning utensils, your learning tools. Make sure you got a pen and paper so you can take notes. Or you know what I'm saying, your phone. Make sure you got your resources on hand or whatever the case is, right? There's a couple things that we gonna hear, right? Or that we use often with one another, right? Yeah. So we got yes, no, Lord. Right? Just gonna be a couple things in general that we gonna hear, right? We got yes, no, right? Sir, Lord, right? Depending on the context. Brother, sister, thank you, forgive me, you're welcome, right? And remember, as we're going through these things, this is a Black, Hispanic, and Native American, or so-called, right? So this is our language. So just how we use English, like we said earlier, we speak an oppressor's language, right? We speak an oppressive language, right? All of us, but we put our own, you know what I'm saying? We put our own little seasoning on it, right? We put our own little flavor on it, right? That that flavor that we put on the oppressor's language that comes from the Lashawan Qadash. As we going through this, you know what I'm saying, we might see some things. We might see a couple things that might be a little confusing or unfamiliar. Just think how we speak in America, right? So, a couple things you might hear, right? So, you know what I'm saying? And you'll know you might you know what I'm saying, you might notice that as the brothers talk to one another, right? As the brothers talk to one another, you might notice that we'll speak a mixture of Hebrew or Lashawan Kodash and English, right? So these are just a couple of the words. These are just a couple of the words that you might hear as we speaking to one another in English. You know, we'll be speaking in English, and then we might just throw a Hebrew word in there, right? There too. All right, so we got yes, right? And if you well, I'll come back later, right? And as we going through this, we're gonna talk about how these because we went over the last one Kodash alphabet. We're gonna talk about how these characters come together and form words, right? Right. So we got yes, you know what I'm saying? Yes, you're gonna hear that a lot, right? So we got yes is con, right? Yeah, yes, con, no being la right? And the way these words are formed, right? So these are just the way these words are formed. They're formed from the sounds that the Lashawan Qadash characters make. So, so we just went through Abba, Gada, Hawa, Za, right? All the names of the characters, they're named after the sound in this, right? So makes the sound, Ba makes the Ba sound, Ga makes the Ga sound, so on and so forth, right? So so yes is Khan, right? In the Lashawan Qadash. And Khan is formed from a Ka sound and the Na, right? So in the Hebrew, it'll look like this. In the Assyrian or the modernized Hebrew, right? It'll look like that. Right. Okay. In the ancient Hebrew, it'll look like this. And, right. But when you first learn in the ancient Hebrew, or when you first learn in the ancient Hebrew, you might see these connectors right here, right? The modernized Hebrew, you won't see that, and sometimes in the ancient Hebrew, you won't see that either. This is just like this is just an indicator to help you, right? Just like if you look in the dictionary and look up a word, right? It's gonna have like, for example, let's use this word for example. You take an English word, right? Like tree, right? So you take tree. If you look up the word tree in your phone right now, TREE, right? You might see in parentheses, right? You might see in parentheses, it'll be like PR, and then it'll have like a E with like a dash over it, right? So this is how you spell the word TREE, but in parentheses, it'll have this. This is just the pronunciation, like the written pronunciation, right? So if you look in a dictionary, any dictionary, if you get on your phone and look it up, this is what you'll see. This is the same concept for this, right? So KAN, right? That's just how, because we've been indoctrinated with our oppressor's language, right? This is just how you will be able to understand it. But you spell it with a ka and a na, right? And this connector shows you that instead of pronouncing it kana, right, you connect the sounds. So you take ka and na, bring it together, it becomes kan, right? So it's the same concept as in English, all right? So you got yes, kan. So kan, you said before, kan comes from ka, and then you spell it with a ka and a na together, right? The ka is just how the word sounds. So you got ka, all right? You got ka and na. You bring it together, right? So that na at the end, right? You just drop that ah sound off the end, right? The yes will be kan, no be la, ah, right? So it's the same concept, right? You got la, you got to spell with a la, right? You got right here, la, and then ah at the end, right? La ah, right? And you see on this one, right? So on con, you see the connector goes like this, right? Connector looks like that. And it's in between the two characters, right? So you got con indicating you connect the two. On la the connectors are different, right? You just see the two, you got two connectors and they're underneath the characters instead of in between. That just means you pronounce the character singular. So in con, you connect it, and la you just pronounce the character singular. So you got la and together, you put it together, la right? And con, yes, la no, right? So now you might hear brother, you know what I'm saying, brothers talking amongst themselves like a like like for example, earlier the brother asked, you want some water, right? You will respond con if you want some water. Con, yes, right? Or if you don't, la, right? You might hear that amongst the brothers. That's how we respond to each other. So we might ask a question in English, right? Hey, what's good? You good, brother? The brother will respond, con, right? Right. Con, right. And the word for good, right? It's another word that we use often. The word for good is tawad, right? So instead of asking the brother, like I just asked the brother, like, "Hey, you good?" Instead of saying "you good," you might ask him, "Hey, you tawad?" Just mean, "Are you good?" You know what I'm saying? Just like you were saying in English, "Hey, you good? You straight?" Right? You tawad. You know what I'm saying? That's built off of a ta, the ta character, the wa, and the ba. So in the Lashawan or in the modern Hebrew, the ta would look like wa, right? Ta, wa, ba. Then in the ancient, you got right. You got ta, wa, or slaki. Ta, wa. Again, you got the connector in between the last two characters. You pronounce the first one just ta, like its name, ta, and then you connect the last two, wab. Right. So you got you to wab, right? You to wab, Khan. I'm to wab, right? You know what I'm saying? So if you just, you know what I'm saying, if you just getting acclimated to the language, if you just getting acclimated to the language, you know what I'm saying, that's a good way to like memorize these simple words, right? You know what I'm saying? Just using them just using them in your everyday speech, right? When you're talking to one another, or you know what I'm saying, like you might see us do with one another, right? You good? Khan, or you Tawab? Khan, I'm Tawab. Or La'a, not Tawab. Whatever the case is, right? You might hear this also. Well, you're gonna hear this a lot also, right? How to say sir or Lord, right? You know what I'm saying? So to the men of, you know what I'm saying, the men above us, you know what I'm saying, the men that outrank us, the camp leaders, the captains, you know what I'm saying, the brothers, right? We refer to them as sir or we refer to them as sir or Lord, right? That's scriptural, that's biblical, right? So sir is a da one, right? Oh, yeah. But yeah, what's that again? Adonai. Not necessarily. Okay, so it's context, right? So Adonai. So remember last time we was talking about Yiddish versus Hebrew, right? So Yiddish, remember last time we was talking about the Lashawan Qadash, or the Hebrew doesn't have vowels, right? So Adonai, that would be what it would be spelled like this, right? Right, right. There, see, okay, so the fake Jewish man, he calls Yiddish Hebrew. But in that where's that book? Backpack? Yeah, where it's on my oh, this is exactly how you know that the so-called press for the fake Jewish man, he don't know what he's talking about, right? Right. Then this book we brought it out a couple weeks ago too. In this book right here, the biblical, you put on the camera, right? The biblical Hebrew textbook and workbook, right? This is a book that linguists at Yale University, right? This is what they use to teach and learn the Hebrew, right? And this is written by Yale scholars, right? So this is written by the fake Jewish man that we're talking about, who speaks like this, who they would say Adonai, right? Right. In this book on page 3, the top paragraph, it says the Hebrew alphabet, which is what we going through, right? The Abba, Gada, right? It says the Hebrew alphabet is the oldest in the world, still in use today, right? So they say it's still in use today because they still use it, right? In their synagogues, portraying our culture, right? So that's what they call their it's Yiddish, but that's what they call their version of Hebrew, right? So that's what they mean by that. Still in use today. Our own alphabet, talking about the English alphabet, our own alphabet is a descendant of it by a circuitous rule. Basically, that's talking about now we the ABCs that derives from the Lashwan Qadash. Like you see right here, the La, which is what this character is called, looks like a what? A English L, right? So it's saying that the English alphabet we use today is a descendant of the Lashawan Qadash, right? The text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development. Originally, meaning when the language was first established, originally only the consonants were used. And this is coming from Yale scholars. This is coming from uh, the so-called Jewish man. This coming from the so-called Jewish man, right? It says in this book right here, it says only the consonants were used. So that begs the question: if they know that originally that the consonants were only used and there were no vowels, then why are they using vowels? Well, they added vowels, right? So they would take something like this, like last week we talked about the word shalom, right? You remember that? Shalom, right? So how would they how Mhm. Right. Yeah, yeah, that's how it usually start off. But that's the first thing you gotta understand when you like learning the Lashawan Qadash. You have to unlearn. That's the first thing you gotta learn that the Lashawan Qadash, the original Hebrew, didn't have no vowels in it. Right. So what they did, right? What they did, so what they did was, right, they took they took they took our language and added vowels, right? So in the ancient, it would look like this: sha, la, ma. Bring it together. And what they did was, right, in the ancient, it would be sha, la, and ma. Right. This is what it would look like in the. You see, you want me to write it bigger? You able to see that? All right. All right. So this is what. Let me get rid of this. Right. This is what it would look like in the ancient. In the original text, like it said in that book right there, in its original text, right? It will look like this. Put this over real quick. But what they did was they added vowel, right? So it'd be sha, la, and ma to make shalom. Practice. That's simple. But instead of leaving it like that, but instead of, you know what I'm saying, instead of leaving it, I'm waiting till the sister come back. Okay, that's it. No, thank you. Thank you. All right. But okay, so instead of just leaving it sha la ma, they added vowels, right? All right, so they added something. They added what they call in the Yiddish it's called a dagesh, or like a basically like a dash and dot system to try to indicate vowels, because again the original language didn't have vowels, right? So instead of saying shalom, the so-called oppressor, so-called oppressor says shalom, right? And what they would do is put like a dash and a dot, or they might put like a dot or like a dash above it, or you might see a dot here, or you know what I'm saying, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? You might see something like that surrounding characters to indicate vowel, right? So instead of shalom, like it's supposed to be, and it's, you know what I'm saying, like it was originally, like they said, they turned shalom into shalom, right? And because of that, because of this heathenization of our language, now you got brothers in these Christian Israelite groups and these individualites, right? They'll say shalom because they might understand that there were no vowels in the language, so they don't say shalom. So they right on that point, right? They don't say shalom, but ignorantly, because you know what I'm saying, they leaders broke off from, you know what I'm saying, where the truth was established in 1969, right? Where they broke off, or they might, you know what I'm saying, be ignorant because they might be ignorant to the truth because, you know what I'm saying, they not joined to the, either way, you know what I'm saying, they're not joined to this body, so they weren't taught correctly. So now instead of saying shalom, which is correct, or instead of saying shalom, which they're correct to do, they're correct to not say shalom, they say shalawam, right? Because they see that wa there, and they know that that's not a vowel, that's not an O sound, right? So that's where that comes from, right? So anytime you have any Yiddish character, like for example, if you go to Bible Hub, which we're gonna do during Sabbath service, when you read through Bible Hub, you might see these characters, right? Let's see if I can put it on the screen one time. Right. So you go to Bible Hub, go to interlinear. We'll start, just go to Genesis 1:1, right? It's blurry up there. Yeah. Okay, no sweat. All right. But okay, just you know what I'm saying, I know it's blurry, just bear with me, right? So you see at the top is four blurs, right? You know what I'm saying? It's two blurs at the top, and then it's the black blur in the middle, and then you got the red at the bottom, right? So at the top, right, it's just gonna be the concordance code, and then up under that in blue, it's the Yiddish pronunciation of the word. So it says, so this first word is bara'ash, bara'ashya, right? In beginning, right? That's how you say bara'ash. That's how you say in the beginning in the Lashawan Qadash, bara'ashya, right? But it doesn't say bara'ashya in Bible Hub. It says berasit, or I guess that's how you pronounce it in Yiddish. Berasit, or but that's incorrect, right? That's the Yiddish pronunciation, right? So you might see that, you'll see that during the Sabbath service, or you know what I'm saying, if you're reading through Bible Hub and you're trying to learn the Lashawan Qadash, you might see the Yiddish pronunciation. But these Yale scholars, right? These Yale linguists, right? The so-called oppressor himself just said that the original language had no vowels, right? Right. So that's also how you know the difference between Yiddish and the authentic Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Like brothers, you know what I'm saying? We rock our shield, you know what I'm saying? We rock the shield of David, the Magun Dawadah in the Hebrew, right? You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? We in the midst of our oppressor. We mixed in, we mingled in with our oppressor, right? So we might be out in the grocery store, or you know what I'm saying, just out and about doing our thing, and then our, you know what I'm saying, oppressor will walk up to us and see the shield of David, and then they'll be like, oh, that's I see you got the Star of David on, you know what I'm saying, ignorantly. You say, are you Jewish? Right? They might say that. And they might say that ignorantly, like, are you Jewish? Or they might try to, you know what I'm saying, you tell them that you speak, or you they know that you speak a little Hebrew, or you say that you a Jew from the tribe of, or you're an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, which what Jew means. They'll try to throw some Yiddish at you, try to relate, right? You know what I'm saying? It happened yet, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It might happen, right? But they'll try to throw a little Yiddish at you. You know what I'm saying? And thinking that they speak in Hebrew, right? But when you hear that, you know what I'm saying, when they hit you with the like when they hit you with the shalom, right, with the long O, or the you know what I'm saying, whatever the case is, I'm not really sure what other Yiddish word. Or like for example, like for earth, right, or land, right? We know land is arakaza, or they'll say aretz, right? Aretz with a vowel sound. You know what I'm saying? That's a dead giveaway that they well, that's a dead giveaway that they are not speaking the authentic Hebrew. They are not the original. They are not the original Jews. Aside from the Jews being black, they are not the original Jews. When you hear that language, and you hear that long O, or you hear that short E sound, or you hear that any of them use an I used as a vowel. Like we have a I sound in our Lashawan Qadash alphabet, but it's used as a consonant, not a vowel. So even when you see I, right? Yeah, even when you hear I in the word, right? It's a consonant. So like it's a consonant sound rather than a vowel, right? But that's a dead giveaway. A dead giveaway right there. How you know that those are not, you know what I'm saying, they are not speaking authentic Hebrew, right? They're not speaking ancient Hebrew. They're speaking a bastardized version of a bastardized version of a bastardized version of our language that they stole from us, right? Just like Revelations 3 and 9 says, Revelations 2 and 9 says, I know them who say that they are Jews and are not, right? And the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews and are not, right? This is evidence that they are not the Jews. They telling on themselves. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got to put it in the book. I mean, you know what I'm saying? The oppressor, you know what I'm saying? The oppressor is always going to tell on himself because he's not authentic. But, you know what I'm saying? Even if he didn't put it in the book and say that this ain't authentic Hebrew, so like this right here ain't authentic Hebrew. Even if they didn't put it in the book, they tell on themselves with how they speak it and with how they write it and with how they communicate with one another, the customs that they keep. They tell on themselves and tell you that they're not the real Jews, right? That's it on there, right? Lead us down there. So we got out of one, right? This up a little bit. We got the one, right? Spell with these again. Remember, these are just sounds, right? Like for example, right? When you like any, just like the you know what I'm saying? We might get tripped up off of these sounds, right? You got da, wa, and then the na. You bring these two together, right? Well, you might get tripped up, you know what I'm saying, just trying to work your way through pronouncing character or pronouncing words, putting characters together. How do they come together and form these words? Well, it's just like English, right? Like you got the English alphabet, you got the A, B, C, right? For example. You know, if y'all can see, I'm bringing this up closer so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Right? And Lord willing, this will make it easier to understand how to pronounce these words and how to, you know what I'm saying, how to understand the Lashawan Qadash, how to understand how these sounds come together, right? So you got A, right? That's what an A looks like in the English. That's the character A. But the the letter A makes a sound. And if I were to write out the sound that the letter A makes, it would be like it would be like right. You know what I mean? So this is not an A. This is not the letter A. This is just the sound that the letter A makes. It's the same with when we write the Lashawan Qadash in English. The same thing. This is not how you spell ah. This is just the sound that the ah makes. Same with B, right? So you got You got A, right? The B, this is the letter B. This is the sound that B makes, right? Same with C. C, this is the letter C, and this is the sound that C makes, right? A, B, C, right? It's the same concept with the Lashawan Qadash and how we write it in the Lashawan Qadash. How we was talking about last week, right? While we when we check in for class, right? We say Shalom, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Brakathum, Yahweh Shemalatham Bashim Yahushua, right? And we write it out in English, right? The English spelling is just this concept right here. The English spelling that you see where you see Shalom, right? Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, right? That's just this concept, right? It's just these characters broken up into the sounds that they make and spelled out like you will see in a dictionary. All right. So whenever you see the words written out in English, you know what I'm saying? Try not to say, oh, how do you spell shalom? Is it Shalam? No, it's not. That's not how you spell shalom, right? Characters. Right, yeah, it's just the characters, the water freeze. I'm saying crazy. That's not how you spell it, right? It's just the characters that's being used and they're being written out in a way that you can, you know what I'm saying, in a way that you can visualize the sound when it's written down on paper. Because paper don't talk, right? You write down something, that paper ain't talking to you. You know what I'm saying? Saying that the paper don't talk. So when you're reading something that somebody's written in a Lashon Qadash, that's just what this is. So, right? So even though it's written Adawan in the English, right? You still want to know how to put it together, right? So in the ancient, you got A, Da, Wa, Na. You got the connectors A, Da, Wan, right? And typically, you know what I'm saying, just to review, typically when you read in the Lashon Qadash or you write in the Lashon Qadash, typically a word will have 3 characters in it. It can have anywhere between 2 to 4 characters in a root word, but typically the word will have 3 characters in it. And this word, if you have a word that has more than 3 characters in it, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have a preposition, a possessive, or you're gonna have some tense attached to your root word. And that's what we see in here. So Adawan, right? It comes from the root word, which is right, Adon. So let me see. Where's this? So this word Adawan comes from, like the priest said, comes from A, the root word Adon, right? Adon means, so the word Adon means Lord, right? Sir, Lord. Now we typically say, you'll hear us say Khan Adawan Khan. So they say Khan Adawan Khan, which is yes, sir, right? In a rough translation. You'll see Adawan, right? That Y in the middle means now we're talking about what the root word is doing, right? So it's it goes from Adon to Adawan, right? This is what you would, for understanding purposes, this is a doing tense, right? Something is being done, right? So when we get an order, hey, do this, we say Khan Adawan Khan because the Adon is ruling, right? He's ruling, right? He's giving a command, which is what lordship is. You know, he's giving a command, right? That's what lordship is. That's what a lord does, right? You know what I'm saying? You go to your landlord and you sign a contract to rent an apartment for X amount of time. Your landlord is going to he's going to require that you pay him, right? He's going to give you a contract and say, you are to follow this contract. And if you don't follow that contract, your landlord is going to, or the lord over that land, that property that you stay in, he's going to take action against you if you don't follow his instructions, right? What'd you say, priest?
Now for my eviction.
Right, yeah, that's you know what I mean? He's gonna take action against you. You're gonna be, and you ain't gonna have no leg to stand on in court because your landlord has authority over that property, right? Same with, you know what I'm saying? That's where the word Adon comes from, right? Lord, right? Lord or ruler, authority, right? It's no good. All right, we talked a little bit about brother and sister, right, last week. All right. We just, and this is just a little bit of a review, all right? I know, you know what I'm saying? So if you ain't got this in your notes, or if you don't understand this in its entirety, or if you don't, you know what I'm saying, if you don't understand it, now's a great time to, you know what I'm saying, ask your questions, or, you know what I'm saying, if you got any other Lashawan or Qadash related questions, you know what I'm saying, feel free to raise your hand and put it in the chat, right? And we'll put this on pause. We got brother. Last week we talked about what's that? Salaki. Ain't no sweat. We got a youth of Salaki. Salaki. Oh yeah, okay, so we got brother, right? Which is Ak, right? It's not Akoti or Aki or that what they say right now, the Muslim. It's not that. That's another bastardization of our language, right? You know what I'm saying? Hebrew, even though, you know what I'm saying, the what's it called? The Arabic. Arabic is a derivative. It's a derivative. It's a language that derives from the Lashawan Qadash, right? But it's not the Lashawan Qadash. That's the most important detail. It's not the Lashawan Qadash. So even, you know what I'm saying, just like the Yiddish is not the Lashawan Qadash, the Arabic is not the Lashawan Qadash. So, you know what I'm saying, the Arabs, they instead of saying ak, they say well, aki, right? Good night. Right. Yeah. That is absolutely not the Lashawan Qadash. And I don't recommend, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's cool, you know what I'm saying, when you got the zeal to, you know what I'm saying, to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to ask, but I wouldn't just, you know what I'm saying, jump straight to the conclusion that they're the same language, right? Right. The Lashawan Qadash is a very masculine language, right? It's a very masculine language. And as these other heathen cultures put their hands in our language, they effeminize our language, right? So that's how you get Adonai and Shalom and Akoti and all that joint. Like you get all this, you get these heathens putting their hands in your language, and they naturally effeminize our language because the Most High, our God, the one true living God, He is a man of war. You know what I'm saying? And all these other nations, you know what I'm saying? All these other nations, they are, you know what I'm saying? They worship wood and stone. Their customs are vain, right? And they are disgusting people. They are, you know what I'm saying? Like the scriptures say in Psalms 147 and 19, the Lord only deals with Israel. And he hasn't known, he gave the law, statutes, and commandments to us. You know what I'm saying? He gave this culture to Blacks, Hispanics, and they so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today, which will be the 12 lost tribes of Israel. He gave those commandments to us. So when he told us not to eat pork because it's an abomination, pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster because it's abominable. When he told our sisters to cover their behind, when he told us when he told us, you know what I'm saying, that the man is the head of the house of the nation, the women follow the man and the children follow the woman, right? That's things that he gave us so that we can have dominion over the earth, so that these other nations can follow us, right? But once you allow these other nations to have a say and have a hand in how we speak and how we communicate, and they put their hands on the Lashawan Qadash, which is supposed to be the holy tongue, the separate tongue from all these nations, they effeminize it because they don't have laws. Like what's that scripture? Was it Deuteronomy chapter 4?
What's that?
Let me see real quick. I don't even get it. All right. And the water, like what you just said, like that was heavy. Like you know what I'm saying? If we say anything, if we talk any other way than the Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue that the Most High gave us, you know what I'm saying? It sounds effeminate. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, well, we ain't on TikTok, but I'm still practice, right? Strive for mastery so that when we do get on TikTok, you know what I'm saying, we ain't getting kicked off. But you know what I'm saying? It's sad if we talk any other way than the way that the Most High taught us to from the beginning, the language that we got from the beginning, it sounds effeminate, right? And there's no way around it. And this is why. Let me see real quick. Let me make sure. Oh yeah. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6. 4 verse 5, right? Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. So this is Moses talking to the multitude, right? He taught them the law, statutes, and commandments. He like, behold, I've taught you these statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me. So the Lord commanded Moses to teach the multitude, right? That was led out of Egypt. He's like, all right, we came out of captivity. We in this wilderness. All right, what we gonna do is keep these laws, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us. It was like I'm kind of jumping the gun, right? But he said, do them in the land whether we go to possess it. So he said, look, I'm gonna give you all this land. You know what I'm saying? You go into it, you take it, right? Right. And when we take this land, the Most High commanded us through Moses to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Wherever we go. Verse 6, keep therefore and do them. Why? Right? And this is why if we do anything but speak this language like this, and it's in the way it was spoken originally without vowels, that the so-called oppressor, the so-called Jewish man added to our language, without the vowels that the Muslims use in their version of our Hebrew, it says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. Right? So when we speak our language the way that it's supposed to be spoken, in the way that it was spoken originally, before these heathens got they put their hands on our language and put their culture and their influence on our language and our culture, then we're gonna be Salakia. It says, for this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Right? So that's how you know that when these other nations put their hands on our language, they can't help but effeminize it. They can't help but bastardize it and heathenize it because they weren't given these laws, statutes, and commandments. And we for damn sure ain't supposed to kneel down to, you know what I'm saying, how they speak. You know what I'm saying? So like you might have an oppressor, right? They see the, you know what I'm saying, the Magunda with that, and they'll come up to you, you know what I'm saying, with they the tizits and the little sideburns and the small hat, and you ever see them with the Monopoly hat with the long brim? Right, yeah. Right, you see them like that, and they'll see the Magunda Dawada, and they say, oh, it's what's that? A Megan David? You correct them. You say, hell nah. This is a Magun Dawada. This is the shield of David. This ain't no star. You know what I'm saying? This is a shield of David, right? This is the authorized signature of King David, right? There's a da and a da on top of one another. This is his signature, right? And this is the symbol of our culture. This is King David, which is a black man, right? So when that stank fake Jewish man comes to you and says, "Oh, is that a Megan David? Are you Jewish?" You know what I'm saying? Hell nah, hell nah. I'm a Jew. I'm an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, right? Because if we go ahead and this is a Megan David, yeah. Or we say a shalom, we say shalom, and then if there's somebody come up and it's shalom or shalom. You know what I'm saying? If we bow down to that, we're gonna end up feminizing our language and heathenizing our language. And you know what I'm saying, we gonna by default, it's just gonna end up sounding effeminate. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen because the most high our power is a man of war. And these other heathens, God, this is wood and stone and garbage and you know what I'm saying? Who the hell else knows what else they do in their culture? Right. 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 So just keep away from you know what I'm saying? Listen for the vowels too. You know what I'm saying? Especially, right? When you hear these brothers, you know what I'm saying? You might have some brothers too who might say shalom or shalom. You know what I'm saying? Listen out for them vowels or the mispronunciations so that you can, you know what I'm saying, so that you can stand on your culture and not heathenize or feminize your language, right? So, all right, so we got Ak. So Ak is brother, right? It's not Aki or Akoti or none of that, right? And then sister, right? If brother is Ak, sister is a derivative of the same word. So Ak, waf, right? Simple enough to understand. Ak. Waf. Simple. Con, what's good?
Are you on Aqua now?
Con.
Okay. Are you going to plural?
I mean,
No.
I wasn't, but
I know.
well, if you had a Bauka shot.
You know what I'm saying? It's for like the brothers. The Aqua is not Aqua you. It's Aqua.
Most High Christ, the water. Most High Christ. That's an excellent point. When you pluralize, no, Most High Christ, the water. So to pluralize Ak, Yum, right? Or it's like you gave it to you. To pluralize Ak, right? To pluralize brother, it would be Ak. You would add Yum, right? Let me see that one. Yum, right? This is what you would call a plural tense, right? So it goes from Ak, one brother, Ak Yum being multiple brothers, right? Right? So you got Yum. Ak goes from Ak it goes from ak to akyum, right? For sister, right, you got akwaf. You would, like the brother just said, you wouldn't say akwafiyum with the ma, right? You would feminize it, right? You know what I'm saying? I said earlier that this is a very masculine language, right? But we get, you know what I'm saying? We look out for the sisters, right? The Lord, you know what I'm saying? The Lord didn't forget about the sisters, right? And he's very practical, right? So we got akwaf yin with the na, right? So you got akyum for the brothers, akwaf yun for the sisters, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's how, you know what I'm saying? That's how you would pluralize for feminine tense, right? That's the only, that's if I'm not mistaken, that's the only example of a literal feminine tense in the Lashawan Qadash. All right, we'll go ahead and get rid of this for space, right? That's the only literal feminine tense that you'll see in the Lashawan Qadash. Because we might look at we'll look at this, like for example, so we got ak being the root word for brother. Ak is the root word for sister, or let me not say that. Sister, akwaf, is built off of the word ak. It just has this attached to it. Now you might look at that as if it's feminine tense, right? And if you know what I'm saying, if you're just starting out, if you just you know what I'm saying, you just kind of trying to wrap your mind around the language, and it's easier to just think of it as a feminization of the word for brother. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do that if it'll be simple for you to understand. But you know what I'm saying, once you understand the foundation of it, that it's best to understand it in this way, right? This is what you would call a servile tense. Servile tense. See that up there on that blue? On the this can you see this on that okay, most of that first. Most of that first. I want to make sure I'm saying if you're watching online and you're having a hard time seeing anything on the board, just let me know, right? Man, saying don't be afraid, don't be shy to participate, right? This is a live class. If you got any live questions, if you got any live comments, if you got any live concerns with the class, if there's something that you need help understanding, you know what I'm saying, put it in the chat, participate, show that you're here. You know what I'm saying? Unless you you know what I'm saying, unless you you know what I'm saying, you're a purple bandit in the, you know what I'm saying, just lurking in the back chat, you know what I'm saying, then you know what I'm saying, you lurk, all right? You just keep lurking. But for my brothers and sisters who, you know what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters who love the Lord and love, you know what I'm saying, who want to really genuinely separate from our oppressor and get this oppressor's language out their mouth, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and put your questions in the chat, questions, comments, and concerns, you know what I'm saying, we family, right? We family, you know what I'm saying, let's talk to one another. As the class is called, right? Let's talk, right? We just gonna talk to one another. But this is a servile tense, right? So if you just, you know what I'm saying, you just trying to wrap your mind around the Lashawan Qadash in general, you know what I'm saying? And it's easy to just understand it for now as feminine, you know what I'm saying? Just for your understanding purposes, just do that. Most times, just do that. It's absolutely fine. That's what, you know what I'm saying? That's what I had to do. You know what I'm saying? When I was first, I learned in, you know what I'm saying, stages, in steps, as we all do, right? So you learn these words that we going through right now, just like you did when you was a baby, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you teach your children, you don't teach them the ABCs, and you don't teach them, you know what I'm saying? You don't just go with you don't just immediately jump into the ABCs. You hit them with words. Stop. No. Don't. Hey. Move. No. Yes. Eat. Sleep. You just say one word, right? And they don't understand the alphabet, but they know what no means, right? You know what I mean? I know these kids know what no means. I'll tell them, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she don't speak right now, but I say no to her, and she jump out her skin, she get the tearing up. So she know what no means. And that just goes to show you, like, when you're learning a new language, you don't have to know the alphabet and the characters like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to understand every concept just to be able to understand, you know what I'm saying, to be able to understand the basis of the communication, right? So, you know what I'm saying? You learn the basic words, right? And then you move up to like the prepositions and possessives, which is what you know what I'm saying, we got time, we might go into it. But then you add the prepositions and possessives, where you might go into the scriptures, and then you might read the scriptures, or you like break down the Lord's Prayer, right? I think that was like the third thing I did, right? Because I heard it so much, it was so, you know what I'm saying, by the hundredth time you hear the Lord's Prayer, you like damn near say it off the top of your head. Abinawa, Shabbat Shemar, Qadash, Hayash, Mkai, Yahweh, Malakukat, Tabaha, Rakazaka, Wahaya, Bashemar, the thunder now will come, where you could just say it off the top of your head because you hear it so much. Even if you don't, you know what I'm saying, even if you don't know the words, right? Like when you first come to Sabbath service, right? When you first come to Sabbath service, you just face the east, and then you just repeat after the instructor. You just repeat after whoever is holding down Lashawan Qadash class, or whoever is saying the Lord's Prayer at the end of Brotherhood of Law class, or scripture breakdown, or whatever the case is. You just repeat after them, and you know what I'm saying? You might not even know what the hell we talking about until we say in the English, "Our Father, which art in heaven," right? Right? But you know what I'm saying? You get the point, right? You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to know all the specifics to be able to understand the language and be able to use the language back and forth with one another. Right. So we got, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So you go from ak to akwa, right? They servile tense, right? Servile tense. So you got ak without the servile tense. You got ak without the servile tense, which is brother. You add that wath at the end, you add that servile tense, it becomes sister. Why? Because the sisters serve the brother, right? And the brothers serve the men above us, and the men above us serve the men above them, and the men above us. And don't get, you know what I'm saying? I always got to make sure I say, don't get caught up in the servile, the word servile. You know what I'm saying? Because brothers and sisters, especially sisters, because you know what I'm saying, they say kind of one kind of everybody. Much like 50 troopers and young officers, right? You say kind of one kind of everybody. So if you're a young officer or a trooper or a sister, you know what I'm saying, don't get caught up in the word servile, right? Because at the end of the day, we all serve the Lord, right? The sisters serve the brothers serve the captains serve the generals, so that the generals can serve the Lord. We all serve in the Lord. You know what I'm saying? We all one body, and if we all one body, this one body is serving the Lord. So you know what I'm saying? Don't get caught up on the word servile, right? But that's just what it's called, servile tense, right? And you see it in other words too, like, right? It's another word that you'll see in the Lord's Prayer, right? Malak, right? Malak meaning king, right? You add that servile tense, Malak Wath, right? So king becomes kingdom, right? Right. Now this isn't Malakwath isn't feminine, right? Malakwath isn't a feminine word, right? is a servile tense, right? The kingdom serves the king, right? Let me see, what up? Just what we do. All right, what we got? Please. Thank. Give me, right? So these gonna highlight a couple concepts too, right? So we start off with the easier ones, kan, la'a, the wab, right? A couple of the easier ones that just root words. These kind of got, you know what I'm saying, as we went into brother and sister, right? We went into pluralization, the servile tenses, right? We went to Adon with the doing tense, we went from Adon to Adawan, right? All of these words are gonna kind of bring out a concept, right? That we touch on often, right? So it shouldn't be new. You know what I'm saying? Again, we're just gonna review. And as we build on this, right, we're gonna take what we already know. That's why we're going through this, right? We're gonna take what we already know and kind of apply it in a way to where we can talk to one another, right? We can talk to one another. This is the foundation of how we're gonna talk to one another. And we just gonna compound it, use what we already know, and then add these prepositions, possessives, these tenses, all these different things, and learn new root words so we can put it together. And now we're talking, right? So that's the point. Just keep that in mind. That's the goal, right? So we got please, right? Please is God. What you say?
No.
Oh no, you got it. You said
Baba Kashai.
right. Baba Koshai, right? Ba Wa Sha. It's a lot to say right there, right? Baba Kusha, Baba Kusha, Baba Kusha, Baba Kusha, right? Now we can like any, you know what I'm saying, like any word, like any character, right? Or like any word, you know what I'm saying, not any word, so like you. But you know what I'm saying, you got a big word like this, like I said earlier, most Hebrew words are going to have 2 to 3 characters in it. If it has any more than 2 or 3 characters in it, 9 times out of 10, you got a preposition, possessive, or a tense, whether it's a doing tense, servile tense, pluralization tense, feminine tense, whatever the case is. All right, it's either going to have if it's more than 3 characters long, you're 9 times out of 10 going to have a preposition, possessive, or a tense attached to it. All right, so you want to break this down real quick? I know you're doing your thing. You ain't got to move. So yeah, Baba Kushai.
Baba Kashai.
Right.
That means please.
Right. It means okay. It doesn't mean please.
The root word.
It means please in practical usage. So if you say can you hand me that pencil please or something like that, you'll say Baba Kasha, right? You hand me that Baba Kasha. You pass me that water, Baba Kasha. So it means please, but directly literal translation, it doesn't mean please.
Okay. Okay, so the root word. Kashai.
All right. We'll go with that. All right. Wait, actually, La. Close. Why'd you say Quasha?
I see I didn't see Qua. Shy. Oh no.
No, you got it. You got it. It's a reason why you said Quashado.
Because of Qadash. That's what. Oh.
All right, so let's do this. Let's do this. Right. So let's just go with Quashado, the root word. And this is how you work through it, right? Because it's gonna happen, right? The Bible is long.
Yeah.
The Tanakh or the Salaki, the Tanakh is a long. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of Hebrew. So you're gonna come up on phrases and words you ain't never seen before. So this is excellent, right? So we got Quashad, the root word. So assuming that's the root word, now you got Ba Quashad. So what would that mean by
And
right? Well, okay, so is this are these prepositions or possessors?
those are prepositions.
Right, so they're prepositions. So if this is the root word, that would mean these are prepositions.
Right.
Meaning, right? So we got the ba right here.
And on.
Right. So we got ba. So that will translate to what? Right. It don't make sense, do it? Right. Right. So that would mean that only one of these, maybe both of them aren't a preposition. Right?
So only one.
Yeah, one of them. Right? So you got, if this is the preposition, meaning in or on, right? That would leave
the root word,
right? Which would be what?
What? Cross? Oh,
Con. It would leave Bakwash, right? Or, right? Because and shit, give yourself a hand. You skipped the step. I was gonna baby step it, but you skipped right to it, right? Now, I'm just curious. What made you say Bakwash?
I just know one of the first part. I mean, it had to be like the preposition,
right?
And the root word will be in the middle. Well, for this particular one.
Got you. Okay, no sweat.
But
you are correct, and that's a good assumption to make. And these are assumptions that you're gonna have to make as you, well, not assumptions, but these are conclusions that you're gonna have to make as you working your way through the Hebrew, especially during what's it called, Sabbath service, right? When you're reading it, you coming up on a phrase that's kind of new to you, right? So you just try to, like, first we tried ba, that didn't make sense. So we're like, okay, ba is got to be a preposition. So that leaves bakwash. So you got bakwash as your root word, right? We're gonna come back to that. So if bakwash is your root word, what does that leave? What is it? I see why you said that though, because as a possessive, a ha would mean what?
Oh,
as a possessive.
Oh, this. Her.
Right. But we say it to one another, right? So if I say, "Can you give me water, Baba Kashad?" I'm not calling you a woman, or I'm not using a feminine tense, or I'm not implying that I'm a woman, right? So if it's not a feminine tense, it's a servile tense, right? Right. So this would be a servile tense. So just like waf is a servile tense when you attach it to malak waf, a ha at the end of a word is also a servile tense, right? If it's not a possessive, meaning her. In this case, it's not, right? So we got the preposition ba, and then we got the servile tense. So that leaves bakwash. So now, how do we find out what bakwash is? Right. That's one way. That's one way. You want you want to try that real quick? Yeah. Are you Slack? Y'all mean what's that? Right. Any, you know what I'm saying? Anybody in the chat, you know what I'm saying? If y'all want to speak up, speak up or participate, you know what I mean? Feel free to, you know what I'm saying? This is a class. You know what I'm saying? You want to answer some questions, add a question, give it a shot, you know what I'm saying? Try to you know what I'm saying, work our way through, you know what I'm saying? Don't leave all the work for Bond, you know what I'm saying? He done earned his ranks. You know what I mean? Right.
It won't give me a word.
You said it won't give you a word?
Oh.
Put the rest of these up here just to. You said it's not giving you a word? How'd you spell Bakwash?
I put BAQASHA.
Or you spell it in the Hebrew?
Wow. I can spell in the Hebrew?
Yeah. In the you using two-letter lookup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you using the first box?
No, second.
Okay. Yeah, put it in the spell it in the Hebrew in the first box.
Okay.
Ba, Kwa, and Sha. All right, should give you what you. Yeah.
Shalom Christ.
Yeah, Shalom. Okay, we'll get one next week. And that's good. Hey, Shalom Christ. You was able to come up with anything? You got. Oh, they give you nothing still?
Yeah, like, okay. Mm,
Yeah, let me go up there and see if we can work on it.
yeah. The first out to try that.
Awesome. Scroll over the other, yeah, the other one. Hit show all detail.
Okay. See, to require, desire, exact, request.
Right, right. All of those, the most, right, yeah. To ask, to seek out, to request, right? So, ba bakosha means in request, and it has in a servile, in a lowly manner, right? So in a humble, basically to make a humble request. Right.
Like you talk to a man above you.
Right. Right. Or even if you're talking to somebody who you outrank or assistant,
Yeah.
you humbly request
Right.
Baba Kushai, right? You making a humble request in a servile request, Baba Kushai, right? Or you know what I'm saying in English, please, right? That's how you would make a humble request in English. Please. All right. See, I when I first came into, I did not know that. And I ain't gonna lie, it blew my mind when I learned. I was like, dang, Baba Kwasha. And then it just hit me because there's a, you know what I'm saying, a easy way, you know what I'm saying, it might be helpful for brothers, right? An easy way to remember certain words is, you know what I'm saying, a brother's name, right? There's a brother, you know what I'm saying, I'm not sure what zone the brother out of, but it's a brother of Bakwasha Moth, right? Right. The word Amath means uh truth, right? Right. Bakwash means to seek or to request or what was the third one you used?
To that
To seek out or to
require.
Yeah, require, right. To seek out, the request, the yeah, to search out, strive after, seek, require, desire, request, right? To request the truth, right? Those just you know what I'm saying, once you break down, you know what I'm saying, break things down like we just did, it'll start to like certain things will start to pop out at you. And then you'll start to remember, right? So that's where Bible Kashak comes from. In a humble request, or in a humble request, right? Thanks is just had it up here. Uh Wada. All right, let me see something real quick while we on the subject. All right. We'll break this one down later because it's a little bit more in depth, right? What's up?
No.
Okay. No. All right. The water is thank you, right? You know what I'm saying? Show appreciation. You know what I'm saying? Forgive me. Salak, yeah, right? Salak being the root word, right? Salak meaning to forgive, right? We know that in the Lord's Prayer, in that chunk, right? That, you know what I'm saying, usually trip brothers up.
Locking out.
Right, yeah.
Locking.
Wasalak Noah, Kasalak, Abawak Noah, Kasalak Yanawa, or Salak Kasalak Noah, Kawawak Yanawa, right? Salak is the root word that's being used over and over in that chunk, right? Wasalak Noah, right? Or Salak means to forgive, right? And ya is just a possessive that comes at the end that means me or mine, right? In the Lord's Prayer, Salak Noah means forgive us, right? Wa Salak Noah means and forgive us, right? Ka Salak Noah means, right? Ka as or like as Salak Noah, right? Ka Salak Noah as we forgive, right? As we forgive. So forgive us as we forgive, right? You know what I'm saying? So for all, you know what I'm saying, for all, you know what I'm saying, bitter brothers and sisters, act like you can't forgive no damn body, right? The Lord only gonna forgive you as you forgive, right? Forgive us as we forgive those who offend us or trespass against us, right? Keep that in mind, right? Well, Salakia, forgive me, right? And then lastly, got you're welcome, or what we understand as you're welcome. Because this ain't you're welcome either, but we just gonna break it down, right? So last one, I'm saying gun the bar. And this is what I was talking about earlier, right? So when we talking to one another, right? Or when we learning this language, just think about it how just think about it how you would speak English, right? Because this is our oppressive language, the English, right? English or whatever language you speak, Spanish, same way. That's an oppressive language, right? It's an oppressive language, right? But we put our own little seasoning on it. And it's so spiritual because that's how the Lashawan Qadash, our original language, is spoken, right? Right? Like this ain't how English is spoken, right? This is how the Lashawan Qadash is spoken, how we speak, right? So if somebody, you know what I'm saying? So that's it. So we just basically put in our spirit, you know what I'm saying? We put in the most high spirit, the spirit of, you know what I'm saying, the spirit that he gave us, right? On our oppressor's language. Right. So that's what we do. And then our oppressor takes our flavor in the way that we speak, you know what I'm saying, the way that we communicate with one another. He takes our flavor and uses it, you know what I'm saying, amongst themselves, right? But this comes from this is as ancient as the Bible. This is as ancient as the Lashawan Qadash, which is the oldest language, as we just read earlier, right? So a brother step on your, you know what I'm saying, a brother step on your toe, right? Brother step on your toe. And the brother say, you know what I'm saying? The brother step on your foot, you're like, hey, oh, my bad, bro, my bad. Right? You tell him what, right? He like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You good. Hey, no sweat. No sweat. Hey, don't mention it. Or you give a brother something, right? Right? And this is a response that you can use for when somebody says thank you, you respond you know what I'm saying? You can use this response as a response to somebody showing gratitude or a response to somebody showing humility, right? that's a better way to look at it, because gratitude and seeking forgiveness are both acts of humility, right? You show gratitude, that's humility. You say thank you, that's humility, right? You looking for forgiveness, that's humility, right? Right. So this is how you respond to somebody being humble or showing humility, right? Just so we can understand uh that this response could be used for thank you or forgive me, right? So if somebody bump into you, say, "Oh, my bad, bro, my bad. I mean, you know what I'm saying?" You say, "Hey, don't worry about it. You good. Don't worry about it." Or you loan somebody $20 and they be like, "Hey, appreciate you, man." They say, "Hey, don't worry about it." Same spirit, right? Well, this response, ayanda bar, right? You know what I'm saying? So somebody say, "Tawada, hey, Tawada, brother, Tawada." You say, "Hey, ayanda bar." Or somebody say, "Hey, Salakia, Salakia, Salakia." You say, "Ayanda bar." Ayanda bar just means, ayan means speak, or Salakia. I'm tripping. Lock it, flip it. Ayan means nothing. The bar means speak. So somebody thanks you, you know what I'm saying? You do a brother a favor, he say, "Hey, the water." You say, "Hey, speak nothing," or rough translation, say nothing. Or say, you know what I'm saying? You might hear a brother nowadays, they be like, "Hey, say less, say less," right? You know what I'm saying? That's where this comes from, right? There's nothing new under the sun. So the way that we speak with one another, the way we communicate with one another and respond to one another is ancient as the Bible, right? You offend a brother, a Salakia. A brother say Salakia, you know what I'm saying? The scriptures say, you know what I'm saying? You met 13:15 a brother, you know what I'm saying? That brother say, "Hey, Salakia," you squash it, right? You squash it right then and there. The brother, "Hey, Salakia, I didn't mean to offend you." You say, "Hey, a yonder boy, don't worry about it. It's done." You said Salakia, it's done. It's done. Speak, say nothing. And we know that that's the spirit of the Lord's people, because even in the, you know what I'm saying, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, they conquered by a totally different oppressor, right? They conquered by a totally different oppressor, but they respond in the same way. Uh, they say, "Hey, you say, how you say thank you in Spanish? Gracias, right? Say gracias, right?" They respond, "De nada." De nada is basically saying it's nothing, right? It's nothing, right? Same thing, right? As in English. A brother, you know what I'm saying? You bump a brother, say, "Hey, Salakia, my bad." Brother say, "Hey, don't worry about it." Ayanda bar, right? Yeah, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about it. But you know what I'm saying? With that, we're gonna end it right there. With that, we're just gonna give a courtesy salute to the brothers. You know what I'm saying? I imagine, which means to stand, gonna give a courtesy salute. Visitor imagine, so I can pass the class. Got it. Okay. Imagine, rock, Yahweh Shimi Al Shabratum, Yadimata, Sar Face Assistance, Yahweh Imagine Shabbat, Imagine Barak, Yahweh Shema Thamba Shimi Al Shah, Yadimata, Fast as News.